and welcome to Horsepower Strength and Conditioning. Today we're going to cover a few exercises to make you stronger and more effective in the saddle. So I thought I would kick my first video off with what I think are probably one of the most important groups of muscles to make us an effective rider, and those are our core muscles. So our core is not necessarily just made up of our sort of six-pack, as everybody seems to think, but it's made up of our abdominals, our obliques, and also our lower back muscles. So you've got to think about this entire muscular belt that goes around our waist. These are actually the muscles that are responsible for our turning, they're responsible for keeping us upright, so they're obviously very important when we're in the saddle. Okay, so the first exercise I'm going to cover is called the dead bug. So our core responds very well to resisting opposing forces, which is why I love this core exercise so much. So I'm going to talk you through it right now. So we're going to start on our back. And the most important thing is I really want you to feel like you're pressing your back into the floor as much as you can. If you struggle to feel this, put one hand under your lower back and then push it down as hard as you can. You shouldn't be able to move your arm or your hand. That's just going to engage our core and make sure it's really tight and make sure that we're using the correct muscles. So the next thing we're going to do is going to put our hands up and our legs up. So again, we want to feel like our back is pressed into the floor as much as possible. So we're going to do this opposite arm, opposite leg movement. So I'm going to take my right arm and my left leg. I'm going to keep my left arm and my right leg still. I'm going to move my left leg and right arm down to the floor, touch, and then bring them back up again. And then I'm going to go with my left hand and my right leg, move that down to the floor, touch, and back up again. So this is making our core resist opposing forces from opposite sides of our body. And if we're doing this correctly, you should feel as we pull back up, your core is having to work quite hard to resist your body turning. So there's a few things that we want to avoid when we do this. So for number one, we don't want to be going too fast, because for a start that releases our core tension and you can't really feel the muscle working too much. For two, we don't want our lower back to arch. If our lower back is arching, that switches off all the muscles and you'll find it quite easy. So if you're finding it too easy, you really want to press your back as hard as you can into the floor. Okay, so the next exercise I'm going to show you is called the back extension. So as you may have guessed by the name, it does predominantly focus on our back muscles. However, it's really good for our obliques here at the side and also our glutes. So these are the muscles that are responsible for making us sit up really tall. So I'm going to show you how to do this now. So we're going to start on our front. We're going to have our legs stretched out behind us and our arms out in front. So I'm going to lift my arms and my legs off the floor at the same time by squeezing my lower back and my glute muscles, and it's going to look a little something like this. So it's really important in that exercise to have a really big pause at the top. I'd say count to about 5 seconds. That's going to help us really engage our muscles and really feel which muscles are working. Okay, so last but not least is an exercise called the hollow hold. So a lot of people think sort of the king of core exercise is going to be the plank, which is correct. However, the plank can be difficult to do correctly. So this exercise is sort of like the plank. It involves static movement, so we have to stay in that position, but it's a little bit easier to get if you're a bit new to doing any exercise. So I'm going to show you how to do this now. So we're going to start on our back. We're going to have our hands across our chest, and again think about flattening that back into the floor, making everything really nice and tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift my shoulders up off the floor and then lift my feet off the floor, and I'm going to hold it. As you can see, I'm already shaking, so if you're not shaking, you're probably not lifting quite high enough off the floor. Another thing that I don't want to see is I don't want to see just your head. So if your head's just coming off the floor, then that's putting quite a lot of pressure on your neck, and it's also a little bit harder to press your back into the floor as much as possible. So I'm just going to show you how to correctly do it again. So if we were going to put these exercises together in a full workout, I would recommend doing them as a circuit. This means we'll do one exercise after the other. For the dead bugs and our back extensions, I would say anything between 8 and 12 reps, depending on how much you can manage. And then for the hollow holds, we're thinking about try and aim for at least a 20-second hold, but don't worry if you only have to start off with something like 5 seconds, because it'll soon come on really nice and quickly. If we complete our circuit once, again, then going to have a little bit of a break and repeat it another 2 times, and you should be good to go. So I hope you've enjoyed watching, and I hope you enjoy having a go at some of those exercises. Please let me know any feedback in the comments, and I'll see you next time.